Oh, hello. You're right. What are you doing here? Oh, seeing as you're here, I might as well invite you to humour me as I take you back through memory lane. Hold me hand, will you? And we're going to talk about, well, more specifically, I'm going to sit here and talk, and you're going to bloody listen about my memories back in the day of the Spectrum. Shall I tell you why I'm going to talk about it? Because I've got no friends. More specifically, I've got no friends that have any Spectrum memories at all. I've got one, he lives in Luton, and I ain't spoke to him in ages. You're right, Joe, mate. We made a little fanzine together. 2 fanzines, Specky World and Mega Power. Mega Drive magazine and the Spectrum magazine. Probably still got it some. Anyway, so I would like to go back down memory lane. Reason being, because I'm an old fart, and I just think it'd be nice to, memorise these things. Memorise? That doesn't sound right. Computerise. You know what I'm saying. My first memory of gaming would have to be the Atari 2600. I was probably around 5 years old, and unfortunately, I don't know why unfortunately, but my first game wasn't anything special, wasn't anything unique. You can guess what it was. Pac-Man, obviously. I played it around my cousin's. Stinky cousin, didn't like him, wasn't very nice, but he did begrudgingly let me play his Atari 2600, and I remember looking at the Pac-Man box, looking at the artwork and thinking, cool, looking at the cartridge, plugging a bloody cartridge in, and then being amazed how as you actually moved the stick, it moved on the screen. Incredible. Then we borrowed an Atari 2600 because I remember having one in the house, but I don't think it was ours because, bearing in mind, I'm around 6 or 7 at this time. At one point, it was just gone. It was gone, and my life was torn apart. I really was devastated. Then after that, I went through the how I call the nightmare years, where I was essentially just playing with toys. So from the age of around 7 to about 10, I was playing with Mask Crusaders, working overtime, fighting crime, the little Mask toys and Turtles, Ghostbusters, like a normal kid, because computer games were taken out of my life. Then one day, my amazing parents, God love them, suggested I get one of these Sinclair Spectrum things. Now, once they suggested that, I remember going up to my local shop, Dominic Square, shout out, where I didn't used to hang around. I was going to say I used to hang around. I didn't used to hang around in the corner. I was a real nerd. I wanted to say I hung around in the corner. I didn't. And pick up a copy of, I think it was Your Sinclair was the first magazine that I ever brought, because I knew I was going to be getting a Spectrum. I thought, right, they're going to get me one of these because it would have been good for computering and schooling or something they were going on about. And when I realised you could actually play games on it, you could say I become rather excited because I'm going to be getting back into gaming, which stopped when the Atari 2600 was taken out of the house. So I'm flipping through these magazines. I'm fascinated. Have a quick look at the boobs on page 3 while I'm in a shop, and then I'm like, this is bloody incredible. You can get games on this thing. And once I got excited after reading the magazine, then I got more into encouraging my parents. Well, can I really have one? Well, we're going to get you one anyway, aren't we? Yeah, but I want one. Yeah, we're going to get you one. Just, well, I bloody want one, please. And eventually I got one. And that's when my life changed. That is when my life changed. Officially titled ZX Spectrum plus 2 128K. Yes, I started with the 128K with the tape loader. The 48K years were probably a little bit before my time. Bearing in mind, what am I, 4 years old now, and I would have been around 9 or 10 when I got my 128K. So maybe it was coming towards the end of the Spectrum span. I can't really work out in my head because that involves brain work. Not very good at that. But I remember absolutely loving the Spectrum. First game I ever played on my Spectrum, I believe, was Donkey Kong. I think it come with it. Some of you Spectrum historians will know whether it come with it as like a package, but I remember playing Donkey Kong. Would that have been my first taste of Mario? I think it would have been. Yeah, that would have been the first time. Obviously, it's not called Mario in the game. I think it's called Jumpman. But in the game, obviously, you play as Mario and you're trying to get to the bloody Donkey Kong. I'll never forget that. That was the first game that I played. I absolutely Loved it. And yeah, that would have been my first taste of gaming since then. And I just remember there being so many games for the Spectrum. I remember going down Purley Centre with my mum, walking around the market and seeing all these Mastertronics and Kicks and Hit Squad all on these carousels. And it was just like these beautiful artwork and all of these games. And the good thing is, because they were only like £1 or £2, I'd say, Mum, can I have a game? And she'd be like, oh, go on then. Whereas other kids would be asking for football kit, clothes and football kit. Didn't worry about clothes. Who cares about looking cool back then? Who cares about style back then? You leave that for the good looking boys getting the girlfriends behind the bike sheds, innit? I didn't do none of that. I was a bloody nerd. So my mum's happy. She's getting me £2, £3, however much they were back in the day, little cassette tapes, and that's it. That is my world. I'm absolutely gone. Didn't even really care about music at that point. I wasn't listening to music, to be honest. All I cared about was bloody games. So I'm getting all of these games, and that is where I really become a gamer. That's where it never stopped. And obviously I've gone on since then. I've got all the systems now, but the one that has the deepest love in my heart by far is obviously the Spectrum, because it's my first one. And I just remember walking through, picking up all the games, flicking through the cartridges, opening up, smelling the inlay, on the bus back, reading it. And I always used to be fascinated with the pictures on the front, because the pictures on the front would be really detailed, well drawn, cartoony, and then you flick it over on the back and the artwork would say, the artwork could look good for the, you know, the actual in-game graphics would look good, but it'd say, there'd be like a star in the corner and it'd say C64 screenshots, and it always used to confuse me, because I thought, why does it say that? And then I get home and then it doesn't look like it. Obviously because I was playing on the Spectrum, but I was like 8 or 9, so my brain couldn't quite understand why they put that on the back and didn't put the Spectrum graphics on the back, because obviously when I got home the Spectrum graphics didn't look quite as good. But my mind kind of blended in the artwork on the front with the actual Spectrum graphics as I played it, and I kind of filled in the gaps of the Spectrum graphics with the front of the artwork. It's hard to explain. You can only understand what I'm talking about if you were actually there at the time. Do you know what I mean? You looked at the artwork and you knew it wasn't quite as good, well, nowhere near as good as the graphics, right? But you kind of compensated for it. It's like, oh right, that sprite on the, you wouldn't say sprite at the time, but that character on the screen was supposed to be this one on the front, which is drawn in detail. Oh, I get it. And you kind of filled it in. But yeah, I remember playing a game called Rockstar Ate My Hamster as well, which was absolutely bonkers. I can't remember much about it. Obviously I'm playing it now for a bit of footage, but at the time I just remember it being having something to do with the Sun newspaper, and then you got to go for all these you had to like form a band, and you could pick the name, and there's all these mock-ups of like actual celebrities. It was just a crazy bonkers game. And yeah, my life just absolutely changed when I got the Spectrum, and that's how it all started for me. And then the games flowed in. I've still got all my, well, no, actually not all, I might have sold some at car boot sales, but I still got around 200 or so games, actual cassettes. I had a crazy collection. But don't forget, back in the day, retro, there was no such thing as retro. Like, you guys will know, there was no such thing as retro. Back then, it was like, oh, I want to, once I started getting into Mega Drive and Sega, the Spectrum was a little bit pooey. Do you know what I mean? And I really regret feeling like that, but I felt like that at the time, and then hence getting rid of a lot of my stuff. Really wish I'd never done that. I specifically remember getting Dizzy the Egg. My mate Terry had it. I think that might have even been like around the second sort of game I played. I remember all the Codemasters games, BMX Simulator, but I specifically remember Dizzy. Dizzy stuck with me, and ever since back in those days I've had a love for Dizzy. Might be like the second or third game I ever played. Deep in my heart I've got a love for Dizzy. I played all the Dizzy games. I don't know if it's Treasure Island or Fantasy World, one of those two. Maybe Treasure Island could be my favourite, more for the nostalgic memories. But oh god, and I remember the first time I heard digitised speech would have probably been Fantasy World Dizzy. That's what I can remember. Fantasy World Dizzy. Boom 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 boom. Bang 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 bang. Bang 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 bang. Bang 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 bang. Bang 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 bang. Oh man, Dizzy. But there was a moment. Do you know when they say there's a crossroads in life? See you at the crossroads. A crossroads in life where you could walk down the path of gangsterism, so to speak, or walk down the path of being a cultured English gentleman, as I obviously am. Luckily, I chose a cultured English gentleman. I was in Tesco's. Might have been Milton Keynes, a big Milton Keynes Tesco's. Don't know how old I was. I would have been around 8. And I was obsessed with this game on the screen right now. Look at it. Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja. Now, I just saw the cover. I didn't know nothing about it. I saw the cover, looked on the back, and I thought, oh my God, I have to have this game. Bearing in mind, I'm an absolute Turtles fan at the time. And I don't know whether I had Turtles at the time or not on the Spectrum. I can't remember. But I'm a massive Turtles fan. Ninja Turtles, anything Ninja. I'm all over it. I'm all over it like sesame seeds on a bloody McDonald's bun. And I shoved it up my coat. Yes, I shoved it up my coat. I walked towards the checkout and check it. I cook Jamaican food. I put Scotch bonnet in it. And occasionally you can get Scotch bonnet accidentally on your lips while you're cooking. Even worse, in your eyeball or on your dick. Sometimes that happens. Don't ask how. And it burns. And that's how I felt like when I was walking with Dragon Ninja shoved up my coat. My face was burning. And I can remember being 8 years old and my face just prickling, burning. And that was obviously some kind of embarrassment because I knew what I was doing was wrong. Unless somebody threw curry at my face, which wouldn't have been very nice. As an 8-year-old little black boy walking around the shops with it. I don't think anybody threw curry at my face. I just think that I was embarrassed. And I took it out and put it back on the shelf. Now, I remember telling my missus this story. And she goes to me, did it have the actual tape in it? And that was a good point. I can't remember. So I might have gone through all... Probably didn't, did it? Back in the day, I don't know. So I would have gone through all of that. Walked out with it. Probably got caught by the security guard. And then there would have been nothing in it anyway. God, I really feel like my life would have changed if I'd have done that. Do you know what I mean? Probably been a gangster kingpin instead of sitting here in my bloody room making Spectrum videos. But anyway, yeah, just great memories of the Spectrum. Do you know what? How long have I been yakking on for now? Oh, Christ above. Right, I better stop. I'm going to stop now. Do you know, I might do a part 2 to this because I've got like there's loads of games. The Great Escape, a Target Renegade, all the games that I think that I used to play. I remember a game called Vatman, which I used to enjoy. All the games on the Your Sinclair covers. Oh, God. So many memories. All right, let me stop. Video's going on too long. I do apologise. Yeah, I might do a part 2. You know, I might have to sit and wait for it. Sit there. Do not move until you see part 2. Whatever you have to, just stay in that position where you are now. Could be days, could be weeks. Just stay there until you see part 2 pop up. I'm going to go. If you enjoyed the content, click the like button. It helps me grow the channel. Get the word of Spectrum out there. You know what I mean? Spread the word of Spectrum. The cult. Share it and subscribe if you are new. For now, be easy. Behave yourself. See you later.